affective domain of second language learning. Affective or emotional domain of second language learning is extremely important if you remember the emphasis of sociocultural theory that when the learner comes into the classroom, it is not just his brain or that walks into the classroom, it is his or her complete social identity that enters the classroom. So he or she brings with him whatever values they have, whatever identity they have. And what the teachers need to do is to involve this whole person in the learning process of second language. So when we use the first language of the learner, we sort of invite him or her to develop a personal relevance to what learning or teaching is going on. So we allow the learner, we appreciate and value the linguistic capital of the learner, and this linguistic capital has then an exchange value. So that means the identity that the learner brings in the class also has a value. So this leads to developing of positive feelings and attitudes. No one wants to walk into a room full of different people outside his home or within his home or in a classroom situation anywhere and to look like a fool, to appear as if he or she does not know anything. But when we ask the learner to refer to his or her first language, we actually then position the learner as somebody who knows and who has knowledge, the knowledge of his or her first language. Now, these positive feelings and attitudes that this positioning of the learner creates is a crucial factor in L2 learning. So, emotional engagement also allows the checking of frustration. That means the learner does not get too frustrated. So a language is a means of expressing thoughts, a mean of interpreting the meaning of what is being said. So being left only with a second language, which they have not learned as yet, can create a lot of frustration, a lot of disappointment, and they would just like to leave it and go out of the classroom. So the use of first language allows the learner to gradually develop his or her confidence in English or whatever second language is being taught. It fosters motivation. It fosters motivation because the learners realize that the learning of English or any second language is not a task beyond them. It is within their grasp. So the use of the first language actually allows them to bring the second language structures or tasks and locate them within their zone of proximal development. And that is why this affective domain and which is sort of fostered with the use of the first language is very important. This also creates a readiness to learn. If you accept in the first place that the learners are not clean slates and they bring with them certain knowledge structures which are good enough to be discussed in the class, this gives the learners this readiness to learn and they become more motivated and ready to learn. Now remember that this focus on the affective domain is not just emphasized by sociocultural theory. Although we are discussing the whole issue from the sociocultural perspective, however, it is more important to remember that this theory or this emphasis has also been placed by Krashen's affective hypothesis. It has also been emphasized by sociolinguistics. So, affective domain is an important domain that needs to be taken into account in the teaching or learning of second language, and it is supported with the use of the first language of the learners.